Hi there, Integrative Nutrition Health Coach and Eco Pastry Chef Lassia Cahoot here. And today I'm speaking with my friend Adrienne, Dr. Adrienne McRuvie, who is the founder and one of the people who makes this amazing health and wellness center in Toronto called OMA Chiropractic Run. You are a chiropractor, a doula, a yoga instructor, a health and wellness warrior. And I'm so excited that you're here with me today because we're going to chat a little bit about what you do as all those things, what OMA offers, and then we're going to do a little mini yoga practice together that is specifically geared towards helping people improve their digestion. So before we start, why don't you tell the people a little bit about what it is you do, what your history with yoga is, because you've been practicing for about 17 years or so, and just give the folks an idea of, you know, what you do, because you have your hands in so many things.
Mm-hmm. I do. So I've been here for like 11 years teaching yoga, but also as a chiropractor. Yeah. I first started off my journey as a yoga instructor and then was inspired by my chiropractor to become a chiropractor. I just wanted to touch people more, I think is really what I wanted to do. And so in terms of you asked me to like put something together in terms of the gut, but I feel like yoga is a big picture thing. We sort of talk about this a lot, and why I keep up yoga now is really about it's great for the body, but keeping the mind in check and relaxed and together and grounded. Yeah. That's really why I do yoga now. I try to incorporate a lot of stuff with yoga into my teaching and into my practice, and whenever I'm giving things to people, I feel like it's a great self-care tool, which is amazing. Again, it's one of my obviously favorite go-to places for people just to, again, have relaxation, but also just keep healthy. You don't need any tools. You don't need any, you can do it from when you're a baby to when you're 90 years old. So it's like the perfect form of exercise, if you will. Yeah.
And so you've been doing it for 17 years. I've been doing it for about 8 months, and you were my very first yoga instructor, and I was so excited about that because I still remember coming into the first class, and it was here at OMA, and there were maybe like 6 or 7 mats spread out. You practiced with us. And it reminded me very much of what it was like to be in dance class when I was younger, where you were very specific and very almost disciplined about how we needed to form and get into the poses and transition into the next one. But really what I took away from that first class and what yoga is about for me, along with all those things you said, is about the breath. Because without the breath, even if you're doing all the things that you're supposed to be doing in exactly the right configuration, if you're not breathing in and then breathing out, you know, with enough sort of power, if you will, to welcome in the new fresh air, you're not going to get quite the same detox, you're not going to get quite the same benefit out of yoga. And I remember about halfway through that first class, I started to feel very nauseous because I wasn't used to all of this deep breathing, you know, for an hour long. So can you maybe just talk a little bit about why breath is so important? I mean, it's important all the time, but why yoga gives us this amazing opportunity to connect with our breath?
Yeah, I mean, there's, again, so many different reasons. I think yoga is a sense of presence. Like I always say, symbolically, every breath is a small birth and a death, right? Yeah. So you welcome, you receive energetically, you receive in, you give out. So there's this sort of that symbolic gesture, but also it's oxygen. Yeah. All our body needs to live on oxygen. We all need oxygen to live, but even the biochemistry in our body, we have to have this sort of equal amount of oxygen and carbon dioxide, right? So our bodies know when we need to breathe, right? Yeah. So we can automatically breathe just by inhale, exhale when our body needs to, or we can actually like breathe with intent and really focus on that breath, and then use it, sort of what we were talking about before, as the peristalsis of our digestive system. Your digestive system works in waves, and that breath acts as that wave to push in, to absorb nutrients and push out waste. So that breath is so important for, again, symbolic gestures, the oxygen, the biochemistry, but also the mechanics of the body as well. There's so many different sort of ways that you can think about it.
Yeah, and so in a couple of minutes, we're gonna do a little sort of 10-minute sequence that anybody can do, right? Like someone who's been practicing, who's a seasoned yogi, or someone who's never done yoga before. This is something that really, like you said, you need no tools. You just need a little bit of space and awareness and connection with your body, and people can follow along, you know, what we're gonna do, right? And they're gonna feel better.
Yes.
Okay.
If you don't feel nauseous first.
Right.
But yes.
Well, that only happened the one time,
yes,
and that was just, you know, that was about the detoxing.
That's about the detoxing, for sure. Yes.
But that also, I mentioned that because it's not an alarm bell. It's not like something is wrong.
Yep. And I always say to people when I treat them, sometimes you're going to feel, I always describe it like cleaning a house. Sometimes I have to make a little bit of a mess in order to make you feel better.
Yeah.
So it's flushing out the system.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So why don't we get into our first position, and we'll go through the sequence, and then at the end of it, you can tell people how to get in touch with you. Great. And how to get to OMA and all that kind of stuff. But just before we do, I sound a little gravelly today. It's not like some sexy voice I'm putting on because I am at the tail end of a cold. And so I actually have not been practicing yoga for the last 3 weeks or so because I tend to practice hot yoga, and it's tough to breathe in the heat, and I don't want to contaminate everybody else. So I'm sorry for the graveliness. But yeah, we're gonna get into our positions, and then we're gonna go through this little 10-minute sequence that's gonna help people get stuff moving and feel better.
Great.
Okay.
So we're working on a 10-minute sequence. So normally I would, in a longer yoga class, I would actually have you hold postures for longer periods of time, but I'm just sort of prefacing this by just saying that we're going to do 3 breaths generally and holding for 3 counts for each posture. So Lassie is in Savasana, corpse pose, and I'm just having you focus on the breath and that belly breath, because I think a big part of our day is compression and poor posture, which just really aids in not us having this ability to breathe into our stomachs. So Lassie, I almost want you to feel like you have a bag of rice right at your belly button, and you're actually just gently trying to lift it up towards the ceiling and sort of create what we talked about before, that peristalsis, that wave, almost like this ocean wave of a belly moving in and a belly just gently relaxing, but also in the end, a little compression through the end of that breath. So Savasana is, like I said, corpse pose. You're breathing, but you're still like a corpse. And then we're going to start off with a classic, what they call wind releasing pose. So I love this pose because I teach a lot of parents and babies, and this pose, you can instantaneously see what happens with a little person's body. The knee comes up towards the chest, and there's an instant, everything sort of releases. Adults take a little bit longer for things to work through the system. But we're going to start off with the right knee up towards the chest, because the right knee starts with the ascending colon. So this is how our abdomen works: ascending, transverse, descending. So we're going to start off with the right side. We're going to start off with this knee bent. I'm just going to have you ever so slightly just rock that right knee so you find the perfect place at which your thigh rests into the belly. And sometimes those hip flexors are tight, so you can't always just bring it up there really nicely. And again, I want you to focus on that breath. So you're really taking the breath in towards that thigh. So you're using the breath to push into the thigh. Relaxing the shoulders, tucking the chin down, just to create a little bit more of that internal pressure. And then I want you to elongate out this leg. Good. I'm just going to do a little bit of a pull just so you can kind of feel it. Inhale a nice deep breath and just a gentle elongation. So you can feel, throughout the class, I want you to feel a compression and an elongation through different parts. Perfect. We're just going to release that right leg and we're going to switch sides. I always love when you do right side versus left, and then you always need to do the opposite side or you're just not going to quite feel right. So again, little rock just to kind of find that perfect compression, almost like you're squeezing, through that belly. Good. Slide out this leg, just again create the elongation through the other side. Make sure that the breath is pushing into that thigh as you're doing it. And again, nice little elongation here. Good. Perfect. Why don't we just pull both knees up and towards our chest? So those right thigh and left thigh we'll get into both sides of your colon. But this is a nice one for just small intestines, which sort of sits in a picture frame underneath. And you can ever so slightly, again, rock your knees from side to side just so you can get a nice squeeze through there. And again, belly pushes in towards your thighs with the breath. At the end there, why don't we just take our chin, reach it up towards our chest as a nice little extra compression, all the way up, perfect, like you're cannonballing into a pool, perfect, and then just gently release down. Excellent. Okay, why don't we rock back? We're gonna rock up, and then we're just gonna come up onto our hands and knees through here. So let's come into sort of all fours position here, hands straight underneath your shoulders, knees straight underneath your hips. And we're just gonna do cat dog. Some people call this cat cow, but I'm just gonna, again, more this idea that we're coming into a hissing cat, and then we're like a little bit of a puppy dog. But same idea, compression, give a little squeeze right at the top. As you do this, I want you to hollow out, like you're a small letter N. I want you to push in towards the heels of your hands, good, and on. And inhale, let's just gently open up. A gentle extension back through the pelvis. A gentle gaze up. You don't have to go into too much hyperextension, but I really want you to feel an elongation. So the opposite of what you just encountered with that compression. Good, and a round out again. Let's just do this 3 times. Round out, good, and then inhale. So we're gonna exhale as we flex, inhale as we extend. Exhale, round out, little squeeze in, good, tuck your chin, good, and then again, inhale, elongate, beautiful. Let's just come into an extended child's pose. So same idea about, there's a lot of different postures that you can come into different ways. So this is kind of like going onto your back, both knees into your chest, but in a different sort of position. So I want you to just ever so slightly bring your knees a little bit, like sort of hip width apart. Take your hands, thighs resting and compressing into the belly, but also again, this sense of elongation through the back. So you're also sort of stretching out. You can lower your forehead down towards the ground if it lowers down that far. Good. And then again, breaths deep and low into the belly. All the way down. Almost as though you're trying to reach that breath below your belly button, all the way down. Good. And 3 nice deep breaths there. Good. And then we're just going to come up onto our hands and knees. Good. And then I'm going to have you lower right down onto your stomach. So if you can do this, if you can swing your hips forward and lower yourself down. Let's just bring our forehead onto the ground. So again, another nice traditional pose is the cobra pose. So we're not going to come, a lot of people teach this differently. We're not going to come into a sort of upward dog. We're going to come into just sort of like a baby cobra. Shoulders are going to come down. Elbows are going to come in. And I want you just to lift yourself up, not so your belly comes up off the ground, but that your belly is still resting on the ground. So even when I'm teaching babies, and again, they're having a lot of digestive stuff, I'm like, tummy time, because you basically just need the stomach to be compressed. So again, breath, take the breath and push it into the floor, almost as though you're using the floor as a nice sort of, again, massage tool. And then on your exhale, lower down. Shoulders down and relaxed, elbows just gently tuck in. Good. And again, inhale. Good. Shoulders down. Breathe into the belly. Good. I want you to elongate the head with the rest of the spine. I don't want you to hyperextend. Just elongate, soft. It's really about the compression on the belly. Good. And exhale down. Good. And let's go one more time. Inhale, lift. Elongate up. Shoulders down, elbows in. Good. Breathe into the belly. Good. And then lower down. We're just going to do a little variation. So again, I like the alternating of compression and elongation. So we're just going to, next one, we're just going to take both hands onto in front of us, right on top of each other. And we're going to do a little push. Watch your back, that everything feels comfortable here. So we're just going to do a little push. Stomach is going to come up off the ground. Shoulders down. Just push up, take a breath through here. So this should all feel like it's stretching right through the front of your stomach. Good. Take your neck to a place that's comfortable. All about the belly, nice deep breath into there, and then slowly almost get longer as you come down. Lay your cheek off to the side, toes together, heels apart, and just give yourself a little moment here, because sometimes that can feel pretty intense through the low back. Doing good so far? Good, yay. Okay, we're gonna push ourselves up into a downward dog position. So we're gonna anchor our hands straight underneath our shoulders. Let's just come up in stages onto our knees so we get our alignment here. So hands underneath our shoulders, knees underneath our hips. I always say with downward dog, some people feel like if they have shoulder issues or things going on, it's a hard position to get into, but it actually, you just need to hinge from these knees. Once you're anchored and set up properly, tuck your toes under. You just really need to straighten this out here. Good. So I sort of say big upside down V, widen your shoulders, and what I really want you to work on here, because we're sort of working on digestion, is a real belly squeeze and a real elongation in through. Widen the shoulders, which you're already doing. Pull in your belly, but I love this idea of really elongating. So pulling out through here to get all of that torso elongating as well. Beautiful. Just take 2 more nice deep breaths there. Squeezing the belly in, pulling the torso out. That means sort of elongating those hamstrings as well. Beautiful. Excellent. And then I want you to walk your feet towards your hands. So we're going to come into almost this standing forward bend. But what I want you to do is just keep the knees bent. So again, thighs resting on the belly. You can also just grab behind the backs of your calves and really just pull yourself in nice and tight. And again, take some breaths here that allow the compression to happen. Good. Let's just take 1 more nice deep breath there. Compression of the thighs. Good. In towards the belly. And then we're going to widen our feet just a little bit more here. We're going to lower down into a deep squat. Good. We're okay here. Sometimes if people are not okay here, knees can sometimes be an issue. You can always just lower yourself down and pull in just to get that same effect. Good. So what I want you to work on is knees apart and knees pull in, if that feels okay. And you can also lower your pelvis as much as you can. So again, a compression and an elongation. So really just feel like you're sitting down.
That's a lot of work.
It's a lot of work. It's a lot of work to stabilize yourself. But again, it's amazing. Other parts of the world sit like this all the time. We sit in chairs. This is not comfortable for us, but again, I know when I was in India doing my yoga teacher training, this is how I was going to the bathroom every day. So this is how we just don't use our hips, right? This is the camping squat. So we're going to come down. We're going to lower ourselves down. We're going to make our way into sort of this side angle pose. And we're going to just go, right leg is going to come out to the side. We're just going to elongate, lengthen up through here. So inhale, right side comes up. Again, you've been to my classes before. I like people to engage in their bodies and really feel what's happening. So take your left hand and just feel underneath this diaphragm and pull up. So I really want you to kind of feel what's happening right underneath that rib cage. Lengthen up and then just slide over towards this left side. Take some breaths in through here. If you can, and this is comfortable, a slight rotation open towards the ceiling. Good. So you're really stretching out underneath the rib cage and through that digestive tract. Good. And then coming back. Let's just switch sides. So let's go left leg out. Good. We're going to inhale, lengthen up. Good. And then again, hold on to this left rib cage. Open it up, almost like you're just trying to elongate it yourself. Slide over towards the right. Perfect. And then a slight open. Good. Elongation. Good. So even in a class, sometimes when I'm thinking about putting things together, come slowly down. If you can alternate the compression and the elongation, that's always a good way to sort of think about how you wring out, you know, a sponge or a towel. Okay, so we're just gonna end. we're gonna end with our twist. So again, I love twists to, again, squeeze. We talked about before about the vagus nerve, like this whole idea about elongation. The vagus nerve runs from your neck all the way down, but supplies your digestive tract. So that's also a nice way to really sort of squeeze and elongate. So let's just slide over towards our left. Bring your right leg up and over. So if you are doing spinal twist, try to go right to left. So you're following the way that the digestive system moves. So right knee is going to come up first as for that compression. Right hand is just going to come back. Again, if you don't have the ability and this knee is just not feeling so great, straighten out. If you're doing stuff for the digestion, it doesn't matter about this leg. You just really need to pull it nice and tight. Good. So if you have the ability, keep it compressed, elongate. So you get the compression and the elongation, twist, and again, hold on to the outside of this right knee. So the elongation is going to be corkscrew up, and then a gentle pulling your knee in and twisting. So you really want this as much as possible, what you're doing, grounding through both sit bones, but also this. You want that feeling, like you're giving yourself a nice massage. Good. And then let's just take one more nice deep breath there. Good. And then let's just switch sides. So left leg's going to come down. Nope, I think I might have done it the wrong way. Left leg comes up and over. This is what happens when I don't do it. Good. And then left hand's going to come back. We're going to take this right arm. I love just to just remind ourselves, because if we don't remind ourselves to get longer, we just compress. We just kind of go into this compressed position. So elongate and then twist without collapsing, and then come here. Okay, good. Excellent. Inhale, corkscrew, sort of lift up. And then an exhale, thigh nice and close. Beautiful. I can see you doing it. And then breathe with that belly. I want to see the belly push into that thigh, which I can see you're doing. I can see you're making that attempt. Good. And one more nice deep breath. Corkscrew up. Good. And then just gently release. Let's come back. Let's just come into this position just to end, and I'm going to get you to just drop your forehead down towards your knees. I always love if eyes can rest on knees. You still quite get there. So I would actually say take your hands and then put your eyes onto your hands. So we talked a little bit about also why yoga is good for digestion, and this very act of it just being counter to a fight or flight response. There's a beautiful reflex in our body that slows the heart rate down when there's pressure on our eyes. So this is why we all start to rub our eyes when we get tired. So the moment we rub our eyes or we put pressure on our eyes, our heart rate slows down.
I wear a sleep mask, and I know that when the weight of the sleep mask, as soon as I fall asleep more quickly.
Yeah.
Cool.
So it's just, again, this idea of when we're in fight or flight, blood is not going to digest. When we're running away from tigers or answering too many emails.
Which happens on a daily basis.
Which happens on a daily basis. We are not digesting.
Yeah.
So just bringing ourselves into this state of relaxation is key from a yoga perspective. So you could stay there all day if you'd like. But you don't have to.
So I can see again, because I have to take them off, because otherwise they'll fly all over the place. So the hazards of wearing a mic and doing yoga at the same time. Okay, so that was wonderful, and I cannot believe how warm I feel right now.
It's amazing. We talked about before in yoga the belly being the hearth. I always say it's the fireplace of the digestive or the body, and and it's so important that when you start to just feel warm here, it radiates like the sun, right? Yeah.
Okay, so thank you very much for that amazing sequence, for all of the background information. So now what would be fantastic is if you could just let the folks know, how can they reach you? How can they come to OMA and experience all the wonderful services and talents and everything that you have to offer?
So easiest probably is to go to our website, www.omachiropractic.com, because it has all our phone numbers and everything there. Personally, you can reach me, email Dr. Adrienne, Adrienne at omachiro.com. And also we're at a street, 1 Monroe Street in Toronto. Main intersection is Queen and Broadview, so right sort of east end of Toronto, heart of Riverside. And yeah, I think those are the main places. I hold a couple yoga classes here a week, sort of therapeutic yoga to enhance what I already tell people to do all day in terms of chiropractic. And yeah, I think that's.
And along with being a yoga a yoga teacher, you are a chiropractor and you're a doula, which is also a very cool thing.
Yeah, it's a very cool thing.
Yeah,
I love it.
Yeah, I have a few friends, you've been their doulas,
yes.
And if I were to have another one, which is not going to happen, I would love for you to be my doula.
I would love
your
to,
energy is
fantastic. Love to be your doula. I'll be your doula in other ways.
Okay.
Yeah. Life doula.
All right. Well, Dr. Adrienne, thank you very much for joining us today.
My pleasure.
Thank you for going through this wonderful sequence that people can do anytime. And thank you very much for joining coming to another episode of Eat Well, Be Well TV. I'm Lassia Cahoot, Integrative Nutrition Health Coach and Eco Pastry Chef. And until next time, eat well, be well.